Welcome to today's deep dive. So if you're listening to this, you are probably getting ready to walk into this week's mentoring session.
Right. You've got your coffee. You're feeling energized.
Exactly. You walk through those double doors at Martin County PL and you're pumped. But then you sit down with these youth and you ask this really thoughtful, serious question about their future.
And a kid just laughs right in your face.
Yeah. Or they just, put their head down on the desk and completely ignore you.
And your stomach just drops.
It really does. Your immediate instinct is, you failed before you even started, like you lost the room.
Oh, absolutely. Because it feels so counterintuitive when you're standing there feeling the heat in your chest. You want that cinematic moment.
Oh, we all want the movie moment. The deep eye contact, the dramatic breakthrough.
Exactly. But what you were actually seeing, the testing, the sarcasm, the total refusal to engage, that's just the reality of the environment. It is normal.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Right. That behavior is not a failure on your part as a mentor. Honestly, this is exactly where the work matters most.
Which is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We want to pull from our own experiences in that room, sitting at those exact tables, so you can walk in today feeling anchored and calm.
Because today is a heavy one.
It is. The whole conversation today is going to center around forgiveness.
Yeah, and forgiveness is, it's probably one of the most volatile topics you can bring up with these future leaders.
Volatile is the right word. We aren't talking about forgiving someone for, cutting in line at lunch.
No, we are talking about deep foundational betrayal, real trauma.
So if you go in there pitching forgiveness as this, fairy tale concept where everyone hugs and makes up...
They will tune you out in 30 seconds flat. They'll see right through it.
Right. Because if a kid has been abandoned by a parent or they've been subjected to real harm, telling them to just forgive sounds like a complete betrayal of their pain.
It sounds like you're telling them to let the person who hurt them off the hook.
Exactly. Like, hey, nobody's perfect, just move on, which is terrible advice. So how do we actually frame this in the room?
Well, the way we tackle this is by completely bypassing that soft, traditional definition of forgiveness. We use the concept of a mosaic.
Oh, I love the mosaic idea.
Right. You paint this picture of taking shattered, jagged pieces of glass, which represent the things that have literally broken us, and choosing to arrange them into something beautiful.
You never pretend the glass isn't broken.
Exactly. The brokenness is actually required to make the art.
Okay, here's the friction for me, and probably for the mentors listening right now. If I'm sitting across from a youth who's just furious at the world, and I start talking about making beautiful art out of their trauma...
They're going to push back. Hard.
Right. They'll say, that person doesn't deserve a free pass. I want justice.
Which is a completely valid defense mechanism. I mean, It makes sense. So the crucial maneuver here is separating forgiveness from reconciliation.
We have to establish what forgiveness is not.
Yes. It is not approving of the damage. It's not waiting around for an apology that's probably never coming.
And it's definitely not letting a dangerous person back into your life just so they can shatter more glass.
Exactly. You have to make that crystal clear to them.
So if it's none of those things, what is it? How does a teenager actually, execute forgiveness in a way that doesn't feel like they're just losing?
By understanding who actually suffers when they refuse to do it, there's this really visceral analogy we use in the room for this.
The poison one, right?
Yeah. Holding on to unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Man, that is so heavy, but so true. Because the person who hurt them is out there just living their life.
They might not even remember the specific incident.
Right. They aren't losing sleep. The offender is entirely unaffected.
But the youth is carrying all this toxic weight. They're waking up angry, walking the halls angry, reacting to their teachers out of anger.
So the reframe we give them is that forgiveness is actually a selfish act.
Selfish in the best possible way.
Yeah. It's a choice you make for yourself to unlock your own prison cell.
Exactly. Now, once they grasp that, the conversation usually shifts toward who specifically needs to be forgiven.
Right. The targets. And they're usually three, right? Yourself, your parents, and others.
Yeah, but that middle one, your parents, that is the one that just sucks all the oxygen out of the room.
It really is the ultimate trigger, because so much of the armor these youth wear every single day is forged at home.
Oh, totally. When you bring up forgiving parents, you will physically see the kids cross their arms, lean back, stare at the ceiling, the walls go up instantly.
So as a mentor sitting at that table, how do you navigate that minefield? Because we can't validate terrible parenting, but we also can't just let them sit in that toxic resentment.
Right. We use something called the first run analogy. It really helps shift their perspective.
Walk me through that one.
So we asked the youth to calculate how old their parents were when they were born, and often it was 20, 19, sometimes even younger.
Wow. Yeah, basically kids themselves.
Exactly. So we asked them to picture a 19-year-old trying to figure out how to put a diaper on a baby for the very first time. No instruction manual. Completely guessing.
It was their very first run at parenting.
Right. And sometimes their first real run at independent life altogether.
So the goal there isn't to say, hey, your parents did their best, you should be grateful.
No, definitely not. The goal is to shift the lens from malice to sheer incompetence.
That is such a massive distinction because it asks a teenager to look at their parent not as this like evil villain who intentionally plotted to ruin their life.
It's as an incredibly unequipped, flawed human being who just dropped the ball.
Yeah. And when you recognize that someone was just blindly guessing and failing, it creates this tiny crack in the armor.
Just a fraction of empathy slips in.
Which leads perfectly to spotting those cracks in real time.
Yeah.
Because mentors need to know what to look for.
Right, they do. Because when a heavy topic like parental abandonment drops, these future leaders are not going to raise their hands and say, excuse me, I am feeling vulnerable right now.
No way. Their survival instinct takes over completely.
You have to become an expert at reading deflection. When a topic hits a nerve, it feels incredibly dangerous to them. So you're going to see 4 main signals.
Okay, what's the first one?
Sudden humor. Like a kid cracking a wildly inappropriate joke right at the climax of a serious point.
Oh, I've seen that so many times.
And the second,
The classic I don't care posture, shrugging, slouching, staring at their phone like you don't even exist.
yeah, that one stings.
Third is dead silence, just refusing to answer a tough question. And the fourth is aggressive outward blaming, pointing the finger at the system, the teachers, the cops, whatever.
So instinctually, if I ask a kid a deep question and he hits me with a sarcastic joke, I just assume he's blowing me off. My brain says, well, he's checked out, I lost him.
And that is the biggest trap a volunteer can fall into. You have to flip that interpretation completely upside down. When you see that deflection, lean in.
Lean in. Because if they truly didn't care, they wouldn't need the joke. Exactly. The sarcasm is a shield. And you don't deploy a shield unless you feel threatened by the conversation.
Wow. Right. The I don't care is basically a neon billboard screaming, this hurts and I have zero tools to handle it right now.
Yes. So when the armor goes up, your job is not to attack the armor. Your job is to recognize the fragility hiding behind it and just offer a steady presence.
Okay, let's get into the high leverage moves then. The kid deflects, the armor is up. I'm sitting across the table. What is the actual tool I use in that exact second?
The first tool is actually internal for you, the mentor. It's the concept of being a thermostat instead of a thermometer.
A thermostat instead of a thermometer. Break that down.
Well, a thermometer simply reads the room, right? It just reacts. If a kid gives you attitude, a thermometer gives attitude back. It matches the chaos.
So it's totally reactive. You're basically handing the emotional control of the entire interaction over to a 16-year-old.
Exactly. But a thermostat sets the temperature. It decides what the environment will be regardless of the external conditions.
So if the kid brings chaos, the thermostat brings calm.
Right. If the kid brings sarcasm, the thermostat brings sincerity. You hold the line. You treat them better than they are currently treating you.
Okay, so holding that calm temperature stops the immediate bleeding. But how do we help them repair the underlying break?
Yeah.
We can't just, ignore the trauma they're deflecting from.
This is where we bring in the go-kart metaphor.
Ah, I love this one.
So imagine building a wooden go-kart as a kid. You nail some 2x4s together, you race it really hard, and eventually the frame just snaps. It's broken.
Right.
To fix it, you take some heavy-duty wood glue, you clamp it together, and you let it set.
And the fascinating part about woodworking is that once that glue sets, the joint is actually stronger than the original wood.
Exactly. If the go-kart crashes again, it will break somewhere else. It will never break in that exact same glued spot.
Because the broken place actually became the strongest point.
And our brokenness works the exact same way, but only if we apply the glue. The trauma these youth have experienced shattered them. But if they process it, if they do the grueling work of choosing forgiveness, that broken place becomes the strongest part of their character.
So what is the human equivalent of the wood glue here? Because I can tell a kid they'll be stronger, but what's the actual mechanism of repair in that room?
The glue is the active process of articulating the pain. It's bringing the hidden trauma out of the dark and speaking it aloud to someone who doesn't flinch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When a mentor sits there, holding the temperature steady, and allows the youth to put words to their anger without judging them,
Yeah.
that is the glue setting.
But that requires asking the right questions to get them talking in the first place. What should a mentor actually ask when a kid is just venting about someone who wronged them?
Keep it incredibly simple and focused on their agency. Ask something like, what do you think holding on to that anger leads to long term? Make them play the tape forward.
I see. We aren't telling them they shouldn't be angry. We are challenging the utility of the anger. Like, does this actually serve you?
Exactly. Another really crucial reframe is just saying, that makes total sense that you are angry, but what does it cost you to carry that around?
Which ties directly back to the poison metaphor. It costs them their peace, their focus, and potentially even their freedom.
It completely hands the power back to them. And if they seem overwhelmed by the idea of fixing everything, just ask, what would 1% better look like for you this week?
Just 1%.
Just 1%. Keep it small.
Okay, let me challenge the approach here for a second, because there is this vulnerability paradox that I know mentors struggle with.
Okay, let's hear it.
So everything we read about leadership and connection says vulnerability builds trust, right? So if a kid finally opens up about their chaotic home life, my immediate instinct is to say, oh man, I completely understand. When I was your age, my dad did the exact same thing. And then I share my own trauma to prove that I get it.
Okay, call it out clearly on your mental checklist right now. Do not do that.
Wait, really? But doesn't sharing my story show solidarity? Doesn't it prove to them that they aren't alone?
It might feel like solidarity to you, but mechanically, it is a hijacking.
A hijacking.
Yes, timing is everything. When a youth finally lowers their shield and speaks a painful truth, the spotlight is solely on them. It is their moment of processing.
Oh, I see.
If you immediately jump in with a 10-minute monologue about your own childhood, you just yank the spotlight off their fragile moment and pointed it squarely at yourself.
Wow. I just made their processing about my survival. I basically stole their reps.
Exactly. If you are talking, they aren't working.
Less talking, more timing.
That is the absolute mantra. Less talking, more timing. When they say something heavy, just let the silence sit there. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. Just nod. Say, I hear you.
Don't try to, win the moment or force a breakthrough.
Right. Your quiet, unflinching presence is infinitely more powerful than your perfectly crafted advice.
Okay, but what happens if they say something wildly inappropriate? Or, they start bragging about doing something illegal. As the adult in the room, don't I have an obligation to set them straight immediately?
Not in that vulnerable moment.
Really? Just let it slide.
If you correct them instantly, you just reinforce the core belief they already hold about themselves, that they are broken, and you are just another authority figure sent to fix them.
You become a thermometer again, reacting to their provocation.
Exactly. Stay the thermostat. Let the comment hang there, process it, and redirect with a simple question like, where does that kind of choice show up for you down the line?
Make them think about the consequences without lecturing them, because the stakes behind these choices are massive. I know Coach AJ often brings this heavy reality directly into the room with a story about a former youth in the program.
Yeah, it's a reality check they desperately need to hear. There was this young man sitting in the exact same chair as these current youths sit in. He was funny, always cracking jokes, always deflecting.
The classic armor.
Right. And he ended up in the program because he got caught with a vape pen that wasn't his. The whole I was just holding it for a friend scenario.
And to a teenager, that feels like a joke, a minor inconvenience.
It feels like absolutely nothing. But in the span of just 6 months after sitting in that room, because he refused to change his environment, he made a string of subsequent bad choices.
The domino effect.
Exactly. He kept hanging around the exact same crowd. He was in the wrong car at the wrong time. Those choices snowballed incredibly fast. And today, he is looking at 5 years in prison.
5 years. From a vape pen to half a decade behind bars.
Yeah.
Just based on a sequence of seemingly small, unchecked decisions.
It perfectly illustrates the core lesson we hammer home in that room. You are literally defined by your next decision.
Wow.
The youth sitting across from you might think being forced to attend PL is the worst thing in the world. We have to help them see that sitting at that table is the easiest consequence they will ever face compared to where unhealed trauma and bad choices lead.
Honestly, hearing a story like that, if I'm driving to the session right now, I suddenly feel the weight of the world on my shoulders.
It's heavy.
It feels like if I don't say the exact perfect string of words today, someone at my table is going to ruin their life.
And you have to consciously drop that weight before you walk through the door.
Drop it.
Because you are not there to change the whole room. You are not there to fix every kid. You do not have that power.
That is strangely liberating to hear.
It is essential. Your goal is the 1%.
Right, the 1%.
If one kid pauses before making a catastrophic choice on a Friday night because they remembered a simple, quiet conversation they had with you on a Tuesday, that is a massive win.
You were just planting seeds. You don't get to demand to see the tree grow.
Exactly. You're just trying to get them to pause, to remember they have the agency to be a thermostat in their own lives, to realize they hold the glue for their own go-kart.
So the goal is to just keep it incredibly simple. Walk in there without a hero complex.
Be present. Be real. Just be a human being sitting across from another human being who is trying to figure out a very complex life.
I love that. So as you pull into the parking lot today, you grab your name tag and take a breath before walking into the building. There is one final, slightly uncomfortable thought we want you to mull over.
Yeah, this is the real work.
Take a second before you enter that room to ask yourself, who is the person you need to forgive?
Because teenagers have a flawless radar for inauthenticity. They will smell it on you.
Absolutely. The energy of your own unhealed brokenness, the resentments you are quietly carrying around, the poison you are still choosing to drink all of, that walks into the room with you.
You cannot ask a 16-year-old to start building a beautiful mosaic if you are still throwing your own shattered pieces on the floor.
The preparation always starts inward.
Always.
So do the internal work. Go in there, set the temperature, and remember, they may not show it today, they may laugh, they may deflect.
But they remember who showed up for them.